Everyone says that service dogs are born brave, but no one expected what this one would do in his final moments. Shadow, the most respected search and rescue canine in the entire district, lay trembling on the cold clinic table, fighting for every breath. When the veterinarian whispered, "We're losing him," the room fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. And then the little boy Shadow, once saved, burst through the door screaming, "Wait!" What happened next left every officer frozen in shock. I share news stories here every day, and I would really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Now, let's jump back into my story. I assure you, you'll love it if you keep listening till the end. That morning had started like any other at the Ridgewood Emergency Response Unit. Officers sipped half-cold tea. Radios crackled quietly, and a lazy calm settled over the room, until Officer Dane Carter, Shadow's partner of 5 years, stumbled inside. Breathless, pale, and shaking. "It's Shadow," he choked. He collapsed. No warning, he just dropped. The room exploded into motion. Chairs scraped the floor. Officers abandoned their reports, and every conversation died mid-sentence. Shadow wasn't just another working dog. He was their pride. Their miracle worker. The dog who had found missing children, tracked criminals, and saved more lives than some officers did in an entire career. Captain Helena Rhodes shot to her feet, heart pounding. "Where is he now?" "Marigold Veterinary Center," Dane gasped. "They're trying to stabilize him." For a long second, nobody moved. Then the entire unit rushed out the door, across town. The news reached Ethan Hale, the 10-year-old boy Shadow once pulled from a collapsed cabin after an earthquake. Ethan had been sitting at the kitchen table, scribbling math homework, when his father answered a phone call, and his face changed instantly. "Ethan," he whispered. "It's Shadow." The pencil slipped from Ethan's fingers. "What about him?" "He's very sick. They don't know if he'll make it." The boy didn't wait for the rest. He bolted to the door, tears already blurring his eyes. Shadow wasn't just a dog to him. Shadow was the reason he was still alive. The dog who slept beside his hospital bed for 2 weeks straight. The one who nudged him awake from nightmares. The one who stood guard at the window every time thunder rolled down to Ethan. Shadow was family. The clinic's sliding doors opened with a hiss, letting them into a waiting room full of officers, stuffed men and women brought to their knees by grief. Many of them stared at the floor. Others wiped tears they pretended weren't there. The air felt heavy, like the whole building was holding its breath. Officer Dane saw Ethan first. His expression softened, though heartbreak trembled behind his eyes. He knelt and opened his arms. Ethan ran straight into them. "He's fighting, kid," Dane whispered, voice cracking. "Shadow's trying." Ethan pulled back, wiping his face. "Where is he?" Dane pointed down the hall, unable to speak for a moment. "Finally," he whispered, "Room 4." The walk to room 4 felt endless. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Ethan's footsteps echoed weakly. When he reached the doorway, he froze. Shadow lay on a metal table, chest barely rising. His beautiful black and silver coat looked dull. His eyes, half open, stared at nothing. A breathing tube ran from his mouth. Machines beeped beside him, too slowly, too dangerously. "Shadow?" Ethan whispered. Shadow's ear twitched just enough for Ethan to burst into tears. Dr. Myra Lawson, the head veterinarian, stepped forward. Her voice was soft but carried the weight of terrible truth. "He's very sick, but he knows you're here. That's helping him more than anything." Ethan moved to the table, placing both hands on Shadow's paw. "I'm here," he whispered. "I'm not leaving you." Shadow let out a faint, broken whine. Officers looked away, trying not to cry. And as Ethan stood there, whispering Shadow's name, A memory rose in his mind the day Shadow became his hero. Shadow lay helpless on the table, breathing in shallow, uneven gasps. The soft beeping of machines echoed through the room. But Ethan heard none of it, not the footsteps, not the nurses whispering, not even his father calling his name. He saw only Shadow, and the memory of the day that changed both their lives forever. I share new stories here every day, and I would really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and liked my video. Now, let's jump back into my story. I assure you, you'll love it if you keep listening till the end. It had been a cool spring afternoon nearly a year ago. Ethan, full of excitement and curiosity, had convinced his father to take him hiking deeper into the Ridgewood Forest Trail. The air was crisp, the sun warm, the sound of birds filling the woods. Ethan had run ahead to chase a bright blue butterfly. Just a few steps too far. By the time his father shouted, "Ethan, stay close," the forest seemed to swallow the boy whole. He was gone. The ground trembled without warning. Sudden quake that sent trees shuddering, branches snapping, rocks tumbling down the hillside. Ethan had screamed once before the world collapsed around him. The old hunting cabin at the trail's end shook violently before giving in to gravity, burying him inside. Back at the trail entrance, Officer Dane Carter and Shadow had been assisting rescue teams when Ethan's father stumbled out of the woods, screaming for help. My boy is inside the cabin. Please." Before anyone could react, Shadow sprinted into the forest, ignoring commands, tearing through bushes, leaping fallen logs, following the scent of fear, and a faint smell of blood. Dane ran after him, heart pounding. "Shadow, wait." But Shadow didn't wait. He found the collapsed cabin moments later. Dust, broken wood, and silence filled the space. The dog's ears shot up. He sniffed the ground, circled once, then barked sharply a deep, urgent bark that echoed through the forest. He began digging, claw by claw, bark by bark. Shadow tore through debris as if the world depended on it. Splinters cut his paws. Dust filled his lungs. But nothing could stop him. And then he heard it, a tiny, muffled cry. Shadow barked again, louder, desperate, calling the rescue team. Dane arrived seconds later, followed by firefighters and paramedics. Together, they dug, lifted, pushed, and cleared until a small arm appeared through the debris. "Here! Here!" Dane shouted. Shadow stuck his head into the opening and let out a gentle whine. Ethan's trembling fingers reached for him. "Shadow." The dog nuzzled Ethan's hand, licking away the blood and dirt as rescuers carefully pulled the boy out. Ethan had clung to Shadow with everything he had left. Sobbing into his fur, "You saved me," he whispered. From that day on, Ethan never forgot the warmth of Shadow's fur, the steady heartbeat beneath it, the unspoken promise that this dog would always protect him. And now, standing over Shadow's fragile body, Ethan felt the same terror he had felt in the debris, but worse. Because this time, he couldn't dig Shadow out. Dr. Mira Lawson stepped forward, her expression tight with concern. "We're doing everything we can," she said gently, "but his vitals are dropping." "Why?" Officer Dane asked, voice cracking. "He's trained. He's strong. What's happening to him?" Dr. Lawson hesitated before answering. "We're not sure yet. His organs are shutting down too quickly. Something isn't adding up." Ethan looked up, tears streaking his cheeks. "Is he?" His voice broke. "Is he dying?" The vet knelt beside him. "Sweetheart, he's fighting hard. But right now, we don't know if he'll make it through the next hour." Ethan shook his head, refusing to accept it. "Shadow saved me," he whispered fiercely, gripping the dog's paw. "He never gave up, not once. So I won't give up on him." Shadow's ear twitched soft, weak, but real. Officers gasped quietly. Dr. Lawson's eyes widened. Did you see that? Shadow's breathing changed, still shallow, but different, uneven, strained, as if something deep inside him was trying to push through. Dane leaned forward. Shadow, buddy? The dog let out a low, uncomfortable grunt. It wasn't pain. It was a signal. Something inside Shadow wasn't shutting down. Something was interfering. Dr. Lawson stepped back, stunned. Wait. Everyone step away from the table. The room froze. Something is very wrong, the vet whispered. And I don't think this is organ failure. Shadow's body twitched again, sharper this time, more controlled. Dr. Myra Lawson's eyes widened, her breath catching as she watched the monitor spike drop. Then spike again in a rhythm that made no medical sense. Officers leaned in, frozen, their hearts pounding in their throats. Ethan held Shadow's paw tighter, refusing to blink. Doctor, what's happening? Dane whispered. Dr. Lawson didn't answer. She reached for the portable scanner, motioning for nurses and for everyone else to stay still. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but with adrenaline. This isn't a natural collapse, she muttered. It's behaving like something is triggering the shutdown. She pressed the scanner probe against Shadow's abdomen. The machine buzzed to life, casting a cold bluish glow across his limp body. Ethan watched, eyes wide, breath shaky. Lines appeared on the screen, then shapes. Then the faint outline of internal structures. For several seconds, nobody understood what they were seeing. Then Dr. Lawson inhaled sharply. Oh my God. Officers pushed closer. Ethan's father squeezed his son's shoulders. Dane gripped the table like he was bracing for a storm. What is it? He demanded. Dr. Lawson zoomed in on a dark shadow lodged deep near Shadow's diaphragm. Not fluid. Not a tumor. Something solid, jagged, foreign. There's an obstruction, she whispered. A piece of metal embedded inside him. Ethan gasped. Inside him? Dane shook his head in disbelief. That's impossible. We would have seen it. He's been working for months without any sign. No, Dr. Lawson cut in. He wasn't fine. He just never showed his pain. Her voice cracked. This dog kept working. While this thing was cutting deeper every day. The room fell silent. The truth hung in the air like a weight no one could carry. Shadow hadn't been dying. He'd been fighting, but time had run out. If we remove it, Ethan whispered, voice shaking, will he live? Dr. Lawson looked at him. The grief, the desperation, the love in that little boy's eyes. He has a chance, she said finally. But only if we operate now, immediately. Dane exhaled shakily. Do whatever it takes, please. The surgical team burst into motion. Prep the operating room. IV line secured. Get warming blankets, his temperature is dropping. Monitor his breathing. Officers stepped aside as Shadow was gently lifted onto a rolling gurney. Ethan walked beside him, refusing to let go of his paw. You're brave, he whispered, tears clinging to his eyelashes. You saved me. Now let us save you. Shadow's ear flickered, his chest rising with a shaky breath, as if answering. When the doors to the surgical room closed, Ethan's legs gave out. His father caught him, holding him tight as the boy sobbed into his shirt. Inside the room, bright surgical lights snapped on. Dr. Lawson stood over the table. Mask secured, gloves tightened, eyes sharp with determination. Vitals are still unstable. Heart rate dropping. He's cold temperature falling fast. Dr. Lawson nodded grimly. Then we work fast. The first incision was small, but precise. The room fell into an intense, tense silence broken only by machines and hurried breathing. There it is, she whispered. Deep inside, glinting under the surgical light, lay a metal shard, darkened, scarred, jagged. Lodged so deeply it was a miracle he'd survived this long. He must have taken this injury during a rescue. Dane whispered through the observation glass, voice trembling. He never showed pain. Not once. Dr. Lawson began the delicate work of removing it, but the moment she loosened the shard, Shadow's heart monitor plummeted. Doctor. Heart rhythm unstable. He's crashing. Dr. Lawson didn't hesitate. Stabilize his rhythm. Increase oxygen. Prepare the cardiac pads. Outside the window, Ethan pressed both hands to the glass, tears streaming. Fight, Shadow, he cried. Please. Inside, machines hummed. Nurses moved. Dr. Lawson delivered a precise pulse of energy through the stabilizer. Pads, the monitor froze. Then beep, beep. Beep, beep, dot steady. Weak, but steady. He's holding. Dr. Lawson whispered, Shadow, stay with me. Minutes felt like hours. Then finally, the metal shard came free. The monitor spiked. Shadow's vitals steadied, and the entire room exhaled at once. He's not safe yet, Dr. Lawson said, exhausted but relieved. But he might just survive. Outside, Ethan slid down the wall, sobbing with hope. Shadow lay beneath the bright surgical lights, his body still trembling from the strain. The metal shard, bloody, jagged, deadly, sat in a tray beside Dr. Myra Lawson. The moment it left his body, his vitals had surged, but the battle was not over. Every second mattered. Pressure is dropping again. Warm the 4 fluids. He's going into shock brace. Inside the room, the surgical team moved with perfect precision. Outside the glass window, Ethan pressed both hands to the glass, whispering Shadow's name over and over. Officers stood behind him, silent, pale, praying in their own quiet ways. Dr. Lawson kept her voice steady. Stabilize his breathing. Bring his temperature up slowly. Keep him warm. Shadow's heart monitor dipped dangerously low. Dane's voice cracked behind the glass. Come on, buddy. Don't stop now. Dr. Lawson refused to blink. Not yet. Not this dog. Not today. She leaned down and massaged the tissue around the surgical site gently, encouraging circulation. A nurse adjusted the oxygen. Another administered a warm fluid bolus. Minutes stretched like eternity. Then dash beep. Beep, beep. Steadier, stronger. He's stabilizing. A nurse whispered. Dr. Lawson sagged with relief, but stayed focused. Close the incision. Let's get him into recovery. Carefully, he's still fragile. Outside, Ethan's legs gave out. He dropped to his knees, sobbing with hope. Dane and Ethan's father lifted him gently, surrounding him in a protective hug. He heard you, Dane whispered. Your voice kept him going. The recovery room. The surgical lights dimmed. Machines were reset. Nurses moved swiftly and quietly around Shadow's resting form. Wrapped in warm blankets, connected to monitors. He lay still but alive. Dr. Lawson appeared in the hallway, peeling off her gloves. Everyone held their breath. She smiled, exhausted, emotional, soft. He made it. The hallway erupted. Officers cried openly. Some hugged each other. Ethan's father closed his eyes in relief, whispering thanks. But Ethan didn't move. He stood frozen, staring at Dr. Lawson as if afraid the words weren't real. He's alive. He whispered. Dr. Lawson knelt to his level. He's alive, sweetheart. He's not out of danger yet. He needs rest, monitoring, and healing. But he survived the surgery. He gave everything he had, probably for you. Ethan burst into tears and hugged her. Minutes later, the nurse opened the recovery room door. Ethan, you can come in. The boy stepped inside slowly. The room hummed softly with monitors, warm and calm. Shadow lay wrapped in blankets, his breathing shallow but even. Ethan approached with trembling steps. "Shadow," he whispered. Shadow's ear twitched. The boy gasped. "Shadow, it's me. I'm here." Very slowly, so slowly it broke every heart in the room. Shadow lifted his eyelids. His gaze was foggy, weak, but alive. Alive and searching for only one person. Ethan leaned down until his forehead touched Shadow's. "You came back," he whispered, voice cracking. "Thank you." Shadow's paw moved just barely an inch, maybe two but enough to reach Ethan's fingers. The officers watching from the doorway wiped their eyes. Dane whispered, This is what love looks like." The next Morangi sunlight streamed through the blinds, bathing the room in soft gold. News had spread across town. Officers arrived with handmade cards. Children dropped off drawings of Shadow in superhero capes. A bouquet shaped like a dog paw sat outside the room. Ethan sat cross-legged beside Shadow, reading him messages from the cards. Shadow's tail thumped once, weak but full of heart. Ethan's father walked in holding a framed certificate. "Ethan, the department wanted you to have this first." The boy read the title, Honorary Medal of Valor, Shadow, Search and Rescue Canine Hero. His eyes filled again. "He deserves it more than anyone." Dane entered quietly, placing a hand on Shadow's head. "You're a legend now, buddy." Shadow blinked slowly, his warm gaze drifting from Dane to Ethan, to the sunlight. His breathing deepened, peaceful and steady. Ethan rested his head beside him. "You're not just a rescue dog," he whispered. "You're my best friend, my hero, my everything." Shadow exhaled a long, peaceful sigh, sealing closer to the boy who loved him most. And in that small recovery room, surrounded by hope, gratitude, and the quiet heartbeat of a hero, Shadow's story became something the whole world would never forget. Asterisk. Thanks for watching. Till end, please like and subscribe my channel. I will be very thankful to you.